Thank you so much for doing this interview with me because I've been wanting to do this for the longest time. Because as you can tell, I've been a golf fan for the longest time. But the thing is, though, I've never been really a great player. And it happens to a lot of folks. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because I wanted to talk about not just the popularity of golf, but for
Yeah,
somebody who wants to start out, because we're right into golfing season, even though the Canadian weather, especially in Ontario, hasn't been cooperating that much. What is it about golf, do you think, that so many people are attracted to this great sport?
yeah, I think you're totally right. I mean, it's been a slow start to the season. This time last year, we were probably 4, maybe 5 weeks into 20 plus weather already. So yeah, well, it's been a slow start to the year. Everything's just starting to get green, and everybody is getting excited for summer. It's cottage season now, but we'd like to see a lot more people out on the course already. But yeah, I think it's the attraction is simply just being outside. I think it's you get outside, you stretch your legs. Although it's not quite as you can tell. I'm from Scotland, so I grew up as part of the my golfing background was kind of get outside, stretch the legs. The exercise part of it was huge for me. But yeah, it's a fantastic hobby to have. I think in COVID, a lot of people had those extra time on their hands, and it was the one sport that people were allowed to do. So we've had a massive increase in influx of people just taking up the game in the last 4 or 5 years. And thankfully for us, it doesn't look like it's slowing down.
No, not at all. One of the things I wanted to talk about is, and I've been golfing for the last, I would say 15, 20 years. And I remember how when I first started, I didn't have a clue on what to do, where to go, who do I talk to. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about in the folks who are starting out. And let's just go right to what I had in my hands in the first place, clubs. How does somebody know, or somebody starting out, where do they go and who do they talk to? I know for myself, I went to a golf shop, but the person I spoke with suggested to me, because it can be so pricey, to get sort of like a knockoff brand of golf clubs and try that out at the beginning. What do you think for somebody who wants to start out?
Um, I mean, equipment nowadays is so expensive. You're right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend getting a knockoff brand because then it's like bad tradesmen blame their tools. So you instantly have an excuse to say, "Oh, I can't use this. It's not very good." But nowadays, the main manufacturers, Callaway, Titleist, TaylorMade, they all bring out equipment relatively soon after. It's probably a year to 2 years. They cycle their irons, their drivers, their wedges. So the second hand market for golf clubs is way more affordable for a start. And it's a great way to get into it without spending a fortune on brand new equipment. Um, Here at Angus Glen, we offer equipment with private lessons, so you don't have to have your own equipment. It's great to have it if you did want to kind of go off and practice on your own. But we highly recommend for beginners at least learn the basics before you jump all in, because you can pick up so many bad habits without having proper instruction. And then if you do that, then we provide the equipment, then we get you hooked, and then you can go and buy the equipment. So that's the process that I would love to see everybody do. As an instructor myself, the hardest lessons that we have are people that have picked up so many bad habits, and then it's trying to get them out of those bad habits, which becomes harder than. We had a lady in the shop yesterday, and she was like, "I want to start, but I have no idea what I'm doing." I was like, "Yes, this is the kind of people that we would love to teach." Because you can start from scratch. So, and that's the perfect example. In fact, I also gave that lesson to one of our newer professionals because I said, Kyle, this is the perfect client for you. And you can start from this is a driver, this is an iron, and this is you can start from as basic as that.
I'm going to ask you something, and maybe the dumbest question to ask. Why do we need to wear these?
Do you want the real question or my sarcastic answer?
Both.
So
Both.
the sarcastic answer is because people hold the club far too tightly, they end up with blisters and calluses all over their hands. Um, the real answer is, especially you wear it on your non-dominant hand. So for a right-handed golfer, you wear your glove on your left hand. For the
Yes.
dominant, yeah, and you do that simply because that non-dominant hand is the one that's actually fully in control of the golf club. You have a full contact with that hand at all times. Your dominant side, so for me as a right-handed golfer, my right hand doesn't wear a glove. That hand, depending on what your grip looks like, is very loosely on the club. So you don't necessarily need to have any kind of help to stop you from getting those calluses. But as I said, as an instructor, the first thing that we teach people is hold a golf club on a scale of 1 to 10 has to be between 2 and 3. You can't squeeze that club as if you're strangling it to death.
How do we know about picking up good golf balls? Because there's so many different types. You have even brands that companies will have their names on. I know where I've had golf balls that have just flown. And then I have some where I'm going, are these just cement? How do you know how to pick up a good golf ball?
Um, I mean, I don't recommend people buying the best of the best to start with as a beginner golfer because you're going to lose them. Then because then that makes it so much more expensive. You end up with paying $65 or $75 for a dozen balls, and you lose a dozen within 10 holes. You're like, I can't afford to play this sport. Um, so yeah, I mean, you can as I said before, Callaway, Titleist, TaylorMade are three main brands that we carry in the shop. They all have a range of golf balls from kind of beginner, intermediate, and then the super high expensive ones. And those are the ones that we want to kind of push people into. Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for something that's going to perform, or are you looking for something that's going to go in the hole that you're not going to lose and you're not going to spend a lot of money on? So there's a vast majority. Like even Callaway alone probably has, I would like to say, between 15 and 20 different varieties of golf balls. And again, it's that pick what you're willing to spend on golf balls and then go with that. Just pick one brand and go with that kind of inexpensive one and gradually make your way up when you realize you're not going to lose them all within 9 holes.
Glen, of course, is an amazing golf course, but it can be very intimidating for a newcomer, especially when you have veterans out there who, they'll be watching you. There could be a little snicker. There could be, the intimidation of, look, we need you to keep going.
Yeah.
How do you first find a good golf coach? And where would you suggest? I mean, of course, Angus Glen would be a great place to go, but if you're intimidated by that, where can you go for golf courses? I remember when I started, it's not there anymore, but there was one that, I mean, the longest was, I think it was 135 yards, and it was perfect for starters.
Yeah.
No longer exists anymore. What do you suggest?
Yeah, I mean, Angus Glen as a golf course is challenging for the best of the golfers. If you've played golf for 10 or 15 years and your normal score is between 70 and 80, I mean, Angus Glen can be challenging for even those golfers. So it's not a beginner golf course, although it's a public golf course. We want people to come out and play and experience our amazing facilities. We have a public driving range that's open daily from 3 p.m. onwards. So like we want to encourage people to come and practice. We don't want to have to be the ones that are pushing those people to say, hurry up and you need to keep moving, pick up your ball, you're slowing everything down. So, and that experience will then pass on to these people that want to come and play and pay that high value and price tag for a really good round of golf. So yeah, to answer your question, there's a couple of executive courses out there. Mill Run has a very good one. And again, it's like a pitch and putt almost. It's really good for beginners. Very close to us, there's another one called Bushwood, which is an entry level course. It's relatively flat, relatively open. you're not going to lose your $75 golf balls there. So there are a few golf courses available that are not at the high standard or high difficulty rating that Angus Glen has. Um, but honestly, I would recommend practicing until you're capable enough to actually go and play. I just relate it back to when I was a junior. My parents at the time, my dad was a member of a private course, and he said, "You're not getting a membership until you can actually hit the ball and you know how to play golf." So I played a par three pitch and putt golf course for probably 2 or 3 years until I was good enough to actually then move into that private course facility. And that's where I played my golf for what, 15, 16 years. So yeah, to answer your question again, there's a couple of golf courses out there. The city of Toronto have a number of courses that are accessible for all abilities, and they're not as challenging as Angus Glen. But when you get to that level, by all means, come out and join us here.
What do you suggest when looking for a golf coach? What are the elements that you want to try to find in that coach that's going to help you with your game?
Great question. Personally, I think first of all you have to find a coach that is willing to work within your schedule. The biggest challenge we have, I think we're close to 70 already, 70 less private lesson requests already for the season. We currently have probably 5 or 6 teaching pros on staff. But in addition to that, we have another 5 or 6 teaching pros that work as self contractors but use our facility. Um, so you have to have somebody that's available. The 90% of the requests that we get are for Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, or during the week after working hours. Now, for myself with a young family, I don't want to be here at 7 or 8 o'clock, 3 or 4 nights a week teaching people how to play golf. But we do have teaching professionals available at that time. So first of all, find somebody that's available at the times that you would like, to kind of work within your schedule, and then you have to have a personal relationship with them. Um, from a beginner point of view, you can get informational overload. You can have 100 things told to you that just go straight over your head. So you need to have that personal connection with somebody that can say, okay, Rudy, what do you want to get from your lesson? What is your main objectives? I want to hit the ball high. Perfect. Then that's how you focus on that thing. You don't bombard them with a million different teaching techniques and get really detailed and technical when you're trying to teach them that basic skill. I love to find something that some kind of sport or some kind of thing that they can relate to then transfer that skill into golf. So it becomes something that you do a little bit more naturally rather than overthinking the technical aspect. Because as you said, it can be quite intimidating when you first start.
I still remember one time with a group was ahead of us and we were waiting, and I didn't realize my watch alarm went off just when the person was going to swing, and he was so angry. How do you deal with situations like that? I just went, my fault. I'm sorry. But I mean, this guy was just like throughout the rest of the game, he was so angry. And I also remember playing with an individual who was much better than the rest of us. The rest of us was there to have fun, to enjoy. And this guy just kept going on and on and on to the point where I was literally thinking, I'm going to leave his body somewhere in one of the water areas or whatever. How do you deal with something like that?
I mean, that's one of the challenges of being a public facility. You cannot control the ability level of people that are booking specific tee times. Um, Again, if you're booking as a single or a twosome and you have that potential of somebody else joining your group, you have to be open to kind of be in your own game. So I think for me, golf in Canada is a social activity. It's not
Yeah.
people that there are people that take it seriously. Don't get me wrong, but the majority of those people are my members of private clubs, play within men's leagues and groups of people that they know. They know the skill level. As a public golfer here, I would say 75% of public golfers are really just here to enjoy a Friday afternoon when they can skip off work and have that half day. They enjoy the sunshine, they have a drink with a couple of friends. And if somebody happens to be joined up with them that is not as good, then it's an etiquette thing. So you teach them the etiquette and hey, listen, I know you're not very good, but if you move your cart and park it here, you're not in anybody's way. Or if you've hit 10 shots and you haven't even got it 100 yards down the fairway, you're not going to get break 100. Just pick it up and we can chip and putt. So it's that kind of for us, somebody that's paying a high amount for a green fee, we're not going to kick them off the course, but you have to try and manage their expectations and also give them the opportunity to have fun and enjoy themselves as well.
What do you think? I've never done it. I've thought about it many a times, especially, of course, when the winter season is upon us. The what do you want to call it? The electronic golf
Yeah.
courses where it's in a
Golf
small
simulator.
facility.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you think
Yeah.
of those?
Fantastic. Again,
Really?
the seasonal aspect of golf in North America is really challenging if you're trying to get better. Um, the worst thing, again, it was difficult for me to get used to is actually putting my clubs away and not looking at them again for another 5 or 6 months, like and picking up another sport like hockey, and then you forget what you're doing with your golf swing because you forget that you're playing golf instead of hockey. It's a different kind of mentality, and I guess that if those golf simulators in the last 3 or 4 years are super popular, we actually have one in the pro shop here. That's only for the winter. We clear out a bit of the pro shop and have a huge amount of space that we put a golf simulator in. It's usually up between November and we take it down just after the Masters in April. Just as a service towards our members, but it's also available for public bookings. In that sense, it's slightly different because you're hitting off astrograss, synthetic grass. But again, to keep yourself loose and remind yourself of the technique that you're trying to learn, it's a fantastic training aid, and also the details that you get, the figures that it can give you. It's a computer program, but it can give you so many digital readings of your club path and your ball spin and your spin rate and your angle of attack and your club path and all of those kind of things. Once you start to grasp what's actually going to make you better and what you need to work on, you can get really hooked quite easily.
As we wrap this up, any last words that you want to give for a new golfer, especially any rules that maybe they had no idea about, like you were talking about driving the golf carts and making sure you're here, not here. You can't go here. You shouldn't do this. Those kind of things.
Oh, I could be here all day going through the rules and regulations.
But the really important was
I
to
don't
think
I don't
about.
want to bore all the listeners here. I think the biggest thing to remember is everybody's here to have a good time. If you're slow play is the worst, and slow play is probably the biggest complaint that we'll get. Um, the only thing that you can do to prevent yourself from getting warned for slow play is make sure that you keep up with the group in front of you. If you can see that group for the duration of your round, you're never going to get blamed for being slow. It's not just about keeping ahead of the group in front of you, it's making sure that you can see that group ahead. And that's probably the biggest thing. Again, their ability and skill level can vary drastically. As long as you're keeping up with that group in front, you can be a terrible golfer, as long as you're kind of keeping that pace and making sure that everybody else throughout the day is having a great time. Um, yeah, it's that's probably the biggest thing I can do. And again, it's intimidating when you play larger golf courses and they're long and they're difficult and challenging. It can be a long day. And you don't want to make it any longer by holding up groups or having that you see it on YouTube and all these like fights of the people that just throwing things and start fist fights because of slow play or balls are going into the groups in front, like that kind of stuff. We have to eradicate from golf. That's not the fun part of it. So yeah, just enjoy it and embrace it's a relatively difficult skill to pick up if you're a beginner golfer, but do it the right way. Take a lesson, have a taste for it to see if you like it. Then you can start to invest in some clubs to practice. and then once you get to that skill level, then you start at the kind of executive courses, or shorter courses, and then you can move up into the higher end public golf courses. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic sport. I encourage absolutely everybody to give it a go. In fact, my wife wants to start. I'm not overly enthusiastic about teaching her, but I maybe leave it to somebody else. um, but yeah, make the most of the summer and get out there and stretch your legs.
I gotta say, I've had the most fun and frustration at the same time playing golf, where I could have one day where the ball is just flying and going exactly where I want it to, and I've had it where it will only go 2 feet in front of me.
You and me both. Even as a good golfer, you still get frustrated, and it can be the most mentally challenging game that you will ever play.
But with my friends and the food, drink, everything else, it has been a blast. I've learned a lot today. I'm going to take it all in stride also in my pursuit and having the best golf game ever. I can say I once had a hole in one, and I did it because my former boss said, "Oh, you're never going to get that ball anywhere." And right in front of him, plop, and shut them up for the rest of the game. That's
Wow,
what I
good for
love
you.
about golf.
Good
That's
for
what I love
you.
about it.
Yep,
Thank you so much for this interview and looking forward to talking again in the future.
absolutely. My pleasure.